Hi everybody, it's Andrea Mercy, aka Anlum, and welcome to my studio. Today is going to be an experimental day. I am going to be entering some pieces into a gallery show at the Artspeak Gallery in Windsor, Ontario in a week. Well, 10 days. So I have this idea in my brain, but I don't know how to execute it. So I'm going to do some experiments, and I thought I'd film them so that you can follow my pain. So what I've done is I pulled out another old canvas. This is from school. We were supposed to be doing a piece of abstract art, and I started this one, and my teacher kind of went, meh. So I said, okay. So then I did this one, and he said, yay, 15 out of 15. Not sure why, but it made him happy, so that's the important thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to repurpose this one because it has, I don't know if you can see here, it has 3D-ness. I had used a palette knife to create these lines thickly, and so it'll never be a flat canvas anyways. This has dimension, but this has a lot of dimension here. This is actually the orange there. I actually mixed paint with my gloss polymer medium, and it kind of created that plasticky, and I poured it into a kind of a 3D box that I created. So anyways, what I want to do is create a piece that has some very thick 3D-ness on it, and then I want to cover it with an opaque gloss that will level out and the pieces underneath will show. Does that make sense? It'll make sense later. So basically what I want to do is just create that pourable opaque gloss, and I don't know how I'm going to do that. So I'm going to do some experiments. I'm going to experiment on this and we'll see what happens. So I'm going to use my basics white paint because I want it to be a white gloss. I have this titanium white from Desserts that I'm going to use for the actual project, but for the experiments I'm going to use my more economical basics, which I do love. So I'm going to use some pouring medium to make whatever I'm doing slick. So white, I want pouring medium. You know what? I think I'm going to put some gloss medium in it as well. The pouring medium is good, but I'm afraid of it being too liquidy and just pouring off. So I might add some of that just to thicken it a little bit. I think that's all I have. I mean, worst case scenario, I could use string gel, but the piece I'm doing actually, so I'm gonna do it on this. Let me just back out a bit. So this is 3 canvases that is 4 inches by 12 inches. So of course it makes a 12 by 12 when it's done. And I want to do this triptych on these. So what I want to do is put some 3D things on here and then pour the medium over it so that it levels off and then the 3D stuff shows through. So if I had to, I mean, this is a fairly big piece. I could go out and buy some string gel and I can mix the white with the string gel instead of the pouring medium and the gloss medium varnish, but it would be even more expensive. So let's see, I need a bowl. Got myself a bowl, and I need a palette knife. Let's see what happens. So I will zoom back in here. So I'm going to do a small batch. Where's my pen and pencil? I'm going to write down recipes. Otherwise you'll never remember. So this is white gloss. All right, white gloss. So we're going to put in no paint boogers. And I put in, I don't know, a tablespoon of white. And then just cover it. See, that's very thin. And then I'm gonna, this is a little bit thicker. Not much though. Okay, so let me write that down. I got a tablespoon of white, and I probably put in 2 teaspoons to 3 teaspoons of gloss medium. No, that was the pouring. And I would say 1 to 2 teaspoons of gloss. All right, let's mix this up. So that is too thick. And add some more gloss. So that equals another teaspoon. So now we're down to 2 to 3 teaspoons. Let's mix that up. Still too thick. Pouring medium. So another, I'm going to say 3 to 4 teaspoons. I might not have to put in the gloss medium. That's a little bit better. All right, let me pour this out. So I'm just going to pour it, and we're going to see what happens. I will video this and then fast forward it. There we go. So I'm going to leave the well, actually there's no point in running the camera because it's not, I can't do time lapse with it. So what I will do is, I'm just going to lift it here. So you can see that it's a couple of millimeters thick. You know what? I already know that that's not thin enough. So how about we just mix up a second batch? Let me rinse this out and get another one. I love these little, eat the pre-made salads in them at the grocery store. There, that's better. I'm not reaching as much. And I keep these for doing all my little mixes and stuff like that. Okay, so I'm going to try and put less paint in. I had put a lot of paint in because I thought I would need it to be opaque, but I'm not going. I'm going to put in like a teaspoon. So let me write that down. Teaspoon of white. And I'm just going to use the pouring medium. Forget the gloss medium. So I'm going to say a teaspoon of that. I'm gonna write that down. I'll forget. Teaspoon of pour. I just wanted to make sure that the pouring medium is opaque enough that it's going to... Okay, so I'm going to need more pouring medium. This is obviously a very expensive experiment. However, I really have this vision in my head of what I want to do. So that's, for me, the important thing is you're an artist. I'm an artist. You're an artist. So when you're an artist and you get these ideas in your head and you must do them. You must try them. It's like that with my crochet, with my knitting. And it wasn't like that very much with my realistic painting, but I find with my mixed media and my abstract painting, it's necessary. So 1, and this is 2. All right. This still seems a bit thick. I'm gonna add in another one, another teaspoon. So for me, even though I can't super duper really afford to be wasting that much medium, for me it's worth it because it would be worse to start working on the actual piece and be experimenting on the actual piece. It would just be horrible. Oop. Because if I ruined the piece, I'd be even more upset. So this looks pretty workable here. Let's just pour that out. Now the good thing about videotaping this is that after this is all dried and everything and I forget which one's which, I can just rewind the video and remember. Okay. I like that better than I like that one. So I'm just gonna... It's not sitting quite as high. So I'm going to do one more experiment. See here how the 3D is rising above? That's what I'm looking for. So for this one, I'm going to put in just pouring medium here. Like that. Now let's put in a tablespoon. And this is really glossy. So what I'm going to do is only put in, what if I put in white golden liquids? Ha! Maybe I could dye it. So let's see how many drops here. 1, 2, 3. We'll put in 4 drops. 4. Maybe that will be enough to dye it. Ooh, look at that. I like that. Okay, let me write that down. This is why you do experiments. All right. I'm going to pour it right... Oh, look at that. That is fantastic. I love that. Now, as long as that stays completely opaque, which is why I poured it over the really dark color, if that can stay completely opaque, that's what I'm going with. That is awesome. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of my 3D paint and I'm just going to do a little bit right here, 3D, and then I will mix up a 4th batch, which is, I have more gloss medium than I do pouring medium in my life right now. I've got at least 1 more full one, maybe 2. So I will do the 3D paint, and then we'll mix up some of this with the gold and white, because I can always go out and get some of this. I mean, this is expensive, but for the few drops that I'm going to be using. All right, where's my 3D paint? Oh, I got red, and I'll use the black. If you want to know how to make homemade 3D paints, pick right there. All right. So I'm going to make some dots here. And, oh, let's make you happy face. Again, this is just an experiment, right? So my objective here is simply to replicate the steps that I want to go through in my painting so that I know that it's viable. I'm going to do that. And I had also wanted to do some, I don't know if you can see this right here. So that one has bubbles. That one has fewer bubbles. That one has no bubbles. So if I can just get that to maintain its opaqueness, and again, if it's mostly opaque, I can just add some more white to it, right? Yes. Okay, let me get a palette knife. A good one. Good palette knife. So I distinguish my good ones as the metal ones and my working ones as the plastic ones. You can get these at Michael's for, I think, these are Liquitex ones, plastic ones. I think you can get them 5 or 6 for $5 or $6. These ones tend to be, this is a Phoenix number 14. This tends to be $5 or $6 each, but I like them when I'm actually applying paint. So let me just get some, let's get some blue paint here. I'm going to put some paletting here too, because I'm planning on doing some paletting in my piece. So let's just take some cobalt blue hue, because I want to create some paletting texture in. So let's see if I can just get it into a, let's zoom that in a bit. See if I can create some ridges that the gloss will go through, go down. Let's see right here if I can. Oh, I love that. That's cool. Can you see that? Can I zoom in more? I don't know. Can you see the way that texture came out? That is so cool. So if I can get that to run in everything and leave it poking out, it'll be awesome. All right, I'm just going to wipe that off. Okay, so I'm going to let this cure, because technically it doesn't really dry. It cures into plastic. I'm going to let that cure. It'll probably take a few hours to do that, simply because it's so thick. So I'm going to put it aside, let it dry. I'll have to tape off this border because of this is so close to the edge here. And then what we'll do is we'll replicate this with the gloss medium instead of the pouring medium, and then pour it out here. Because the only really thing between the pouring medium and the gloss medium is its thickness. But I don't want to add water to thin that out. But I have so much of this, and that piece is going to need to be covered, so we'll see what happens. I'll talk later. So my camera wasn't on. I was doing the second part of the experiment and I thought the camera was on. So this is the pouring medium and this is the medium gloss. I just finished pouring it and went to go turn the camera off and then I realized it was never on. So I'm going to let this dry overnight. If you can see here, you can see that the opaqueness wasn't that dark or that opaque, so I actually did it more opaque this time. So we'll see what happens. And sorry you didn't get to see that. So it's the next day and I'm really sorry that you didn't kind of get to see what I did here. This is how it turned out. I don't like it. I wanted you to know that I created these little dams just with some painter's tape. Lessons learned. For a pour, you can't use dams like that because then the tape gets underneath the paint and then you can't undo it. I needed to create a different style of dam. So at any rate, it doesn't matter because this was an experiment. That's what experiments are about. Oh, I'm making a mess. Okay, so the experiment is now at an end. I don't like the results that I got at all, and I'm going to show you why, and then I'm going to have to come up with another idea for my submissions. I'll probably try this again at another time. So here's what I don't like. If you look here, my 3D paint isn't high enough, doesn't have enough 3D-ness to prevent the pour from overcoming it. Even the really thin pour. I thought for sure that I wouldn't have a problem with this. You can see over here too. See, it worked right here, but I don't like the effect that they're at the same level. I wanted the 3D paint to be higher. And then, so this is with the pouring medium and about 6 drops of the golden liquid titanium white. You can see here, it can still be seen through, so I would have to add a little bit more. Down here, it's the same thing with the gloss medium. Well, love the crackling effect, not for this experiment, but I've learned that I could create a crackled effect. If you see here how I wanted it to be thinner and flow down, and it just didn't work out the way I wanted to. So I'm glad that I just wasted a little bit of my expensive mediums and an already crappy canvas, and I didn't start doing that and get really frustrated trying to do my final piece. So although the experiment itself was pretty much a failure, I learned a lot on this piece, and I think I learned enough that when I'm not on a deadline, like I have to get these 3 pieces done for next week, and when I'm under a deadline, I don't like that feeling, that's kind of stressy feeling, so I tend not to do my best work. And this is the first time I'm showing in a gallery, so I want really good pieces to go in. So this I will come back to in the future. Sorry about that, my phone rang. So I'm not going to use this technique for my gallery piece, but I am going to come back in the future and revisit this technique. I still think it has viability and I would be able to create some really awesome pieces with it. I hope that you learned something too. I love this. We're definitely going to be doing that in the future. I think that I can make this work. I just have to try a little bit harder. So if you like this experimental video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe right over here. I have a Facebook page, I have a website, I have an Etsy store. All of those links are in the description, and I invite you to come and explore my world. Have a great day. Bye.